Welcome back to the O'Shea Vlogcast channel. Happy 4th of July to some of you niggas out there. Maybe some of you niggas eating barbecue, chicken, collard greens, all types of other shit. But today, brothers, we want to give a particular show on catfishing women. Catfishing women. This will be a doozy, brothers. This will be a good one. Please come in to the chat. There was a particular show called Catfish that talked about women who pretended to be other profiles. And what they would do is they would get guys maybe to come there or meet up with them, and then come to find out that these people were not who they said they were online. This is pretty much what it's about. That is what we call catfishing. Pretending to be somebody else when you're not that person. But the definition of catfishing has changed. See, it used to be if you were pretending to be somebody that you are not. But now it could be that person is that person, but they are altering their appearance. See, this is catfishing 3.0, because now, with the inception of Facebook Live, the Skype, Google Hangouts, see, you have too much opportunity to see somebody live, because all you gotta do is say, hey, you have Facebook? Yeah. Click the Facebook Live button. We're live. Go to the iPad, iPhone. Yeah, the iPhone, yeah. Let's face chat, FaceTime. So, now you can see people face to face. But what a lot of women have started to do is they will put up a particular photo of them from a certain position where you cannot see anything else. And let's start with fat chicks, because a lot of fat women with pretty faces catfish. Right? What do I mean when I say this? Well, what ends up happening is she will have be fat with big titties, and so instead of her showing you the whole body, this motherfucker will do what? She will only take pictures from the face up or from the neck up. See, this is what they do now. And, or she'll have some huge titties. It'll never be her standing up. That's one way of catfishing. Another way is you're dealing with people that have particular filters. A lot of women use these Snapchat filters, meaning that you can see a chick, her body is what it looks like. Her facial structure is what it looks like, but you will meet this motherfucker, and this motherfucker is actually a lot blacker than her pictures. See, this is what we got to talk about. We got to talk about this in terms of catfishing, because what ends up happening is a person looks one color. Especially a lot of black women, what they want to do is they will attempt to lighten themselves. And these filters lighten their complexion. But when you see them, you're expecting to see a mulatto. This motherfucker coming there dark as me. Catfishing. That's another instance, Then, what you will also realize in so many words is well, women lying about a certain age are not wanting to disclose their age. You know, women have a hard time with telling you how old they are. You know, if you ever, ask women, how old are you? Don't you know it's don't you know it's wrong for you to ask a woman what her age is? You know, that's what they'll tell you. You know, and so you don't know if she's 40, if she's 50. You know, because once again, she can never tell you how old she is. You know, because figuring if you find out she's 39, you won't date her or something. You know, another way that you're dealing with catfishing is a lot of times chicks are getting body work. Now, go to Instagram. You know, the plight of the natural big booty woman is it's a phenomenon. And the reason why it is because, back in the 90s or 80s when chicks were thick, it was amazing. You know, it was very peculiar, for a chick to be hella thick and it was natural. Nowadays, anybody, if they have enough money, they can catfish their body parts. And I would say somebody like Nicki Minaj is a great representation of that. Because now women can alter their appearance, to look like a certain person. They can get all these surgeries done, and what you think is this motherfucking shit is real. It's authentic. No, catfished. But I really think though that the biggest catfish is personalities. And I believe Sandman MGTOW is very good in talking about this because a lot of times chicks necessarily will look what their profile looks like. They will sound like what they sound in person. There's nothing different in their opinion, but what you got to see is they're catfishing their personality. And I got to deal with this because a lot of women have presented themselves to be one way. I'm really sweet. I'm really loving. I'm really caring. I don't know why this particular person used me. I don't know why I got hurt. I don't know why. And so what happens is for many of the men who are online, we take pity in these women's problems because a lot of times, a lot of women online, they have sad stories. Especially if you deal with these women, from what I understand, overseas. If you talk to them, they will always have some bad things going on. My brother stole my phone. They will have all of this bad luck. I have to do is women with bad luck. They always have something is going on in their life. They want you to feel sorry for them. And so a lot of your attraction to them is as a man, you want to fix these problems, right? Because women understand that that's what men do. Men try to fix problems that women have. So what they will do is they will play on your emotion and all of a sudden they're going to hit you with a string of bad luck. All these bad things are going to be happening. Now, this person is going to present themselves as a victim. That's what they're selling it to you as. But what you don't know is there are like 4 or 5 other dudes hearing that same story. And what ends up happening is at the end of the day, you are the one that thinks she is one way and come to find out, well, damn, I gave her $500. Come to find out this other dude gave her $500. Or like if you're in the Dominican Republic, like my boy Andrew 26101 found out, he had a chick, thought she was in love. Another nigga showed up that he knew with the same amount of money, ended up fucking his same girl. And now at the end of the day, you feel bad. You feel hurt. All for the reason that you thought, the woman was one way and it was, making you feel special. So you at the end of the day, ended up, getting catfished because you thought this person was just so sweet. You thought this person was so caring. You thought this person was different, and that's what they do. Many of these women who are catfishing, they make themselves seem like they are not like anybody else. You know, they'll even come out and say it, like, I really don't like what other girls like. I don't really like to do what other girls do. And so what you think is, well, damn, I got somebody now, because she's not like, other people. And they'll even talk about, listen to the band that they like, you'll be like, well, what kind of band, what kind of music do you listen to? I listen to Nirvana. I listen to rock and roll. Wow, you're a black woman listening to rock and roll? She's like, yeah. And you like, damn, rock and roll? She's like, yeah. And he's like, well, man, I never met a chick that likes to, do that. I'm not like other chicks. And then you start to think like, whoa, I got somebody. I like to skateboard, especially if she black. You like, yeah, I got somebody because she's not like everybody else. But what you're going to find out is she's more like everybody else than you thought. This motherfucker is the same. This is, again, we're talking about catfishing. And a lot of times, catfishing, the market for it has evolved. What up, David? It has evolved into more than just looks. Catfishing is also about attitudes. Catfishing is about dealing in fake personalities. It's not always just to deal with that, and that's the thing that a lot of brothers got to understand is you are getting catfished in every aspect. You're dealing with somebody you really don't know. Because especially if it's a person you haven't met before, this person is going to build themselves to be somebody completely that they're not. And I always will be skeptical of that. If a motherfucker is trying too hard to tell me I'm not like other bitches, I don't do this, I don't do that, the first thing I'm going to start thinking is you do that. What up, elder? I'm going to start thinking that you are doing that. You are a part of that. Anybody that's going to tell you that they don't do this and don't do that, typically that's what they do. I don't smoke weed. I don't really, and that's what you got to understand. And that is the dangerous. He said Jason Black is a catfish. Regarding you, let's talk about that. There are YouTubers online who do not show their identity. I'm not gonna go at these particular brothers, but I will speak to them right now because there are a lot of brothers that don't show their face for whatever reason. Like, BGS Ibmore doesn't show his face. Mr. Research doesn't show his identity. People like Jason Black, but I mean, in terms of like, Jason Black. I mean, in terms of BGS Ibmore or Mr. Research, I mean, their content is so where they are not really kind of asking for stuff. You can kind of tell that they're just donating game to the community. Somebody like Jason Black, Chrissy, these people, that really have a lot to say about black issues, and they don't show that they are black. Something that is very skeptical about people like that. I like to deal straight to the hip. And the passing void, I don't care. I mean, why are you here? I'm a white dude, like black woman. That has nothing to do with the topic. But I think anybody that's black that deals in black issues and has a lot to say but won't show who they are, I'm very, very skeptical of those kind of people. I'm very skeptical of those people who say they want to help black people, or because anybody black, I think that if you have an opinion, you should be proud to be black. Let people know that you are black, you know, and especially if you are, if you have harsh criticisms, like something like, Jason Black has a lot of harsh criticism. I'm not saying he's wrong. Jason Black is a very smart guy, you know. But one thing is, like, nobody knows who he looks like. And I think that if you are not afraid, if you're too afraid to show your face based off your mindset, I think that maybe you shouldn't be on YouTube. Because I could have done that. I could have hid my identity, but what would it be for? I think that if you really have those opinions, but that's just me personally. I mean, that's just me. Nothing against those particular people. These people have a lot to say about, the black issues and the black community and what black folks ought to be doing. And, the first thing, we don't even know if you are black. Nobody knows if Jason Black is black. Nobody knows if Chrissy's black, and but at the same time, you have criticisms. I think if you can have these staunch opinions, but you hide your identity, it's just it's kind of it's kind of different, there's and that's anybody. It could be Sergeant Willie Pete. It could be Obsidian, for that matter. I mean, I just really kind of think, people want to get the rewards of being on YouTube, but don't want to put up the risk. And the real risk for putting your face on YouTube is somebody might walk up across the street and crack your ass in the face. That's the risk. And the thing about it is, if that's what YouTube's about. It's about putting the face to the name. And I was YouTubing last year, and sure enough, if people was had any kind of problems or felt any kind of way, they could approach me if that's what they wanted to do. And but that's just really me. A lot of person who don't want to show their face or show who they are, like I said, to me, it is kind of hard to take them serious. I know Sergeant Willie Pete made a video to me. It wasn't a bad video, but it was kind of hard for me to respond back to him and to his points. Not that he wasn't good. He's a good YouTuber. I really, outside of certain people, man, it's really kind of hard for me to just, really think that you're really serious about black people when you don't show your face. But that's just what it is. People want to get money from it, but you don't want to take the risk. I think that's probably why my channels do as good as they do. I'm not just a voice, people see me, they see me live, they see me doing things, and that's just what it is. So shout out to the brothers who, are not afraid to catfish the audience. I just kind of, what up, Charles? And he said a woman who catfish is the equivalent of buying a lemon for a car. And that's just really what I feel. And it's no disrespect to people. I mean, you can say what you want to say about Tommy, but one thing I got to give him a lot of credit for, he shows who he is. A lot of people say, oh, Tommy gonna get shot. Man, listen, Tommy lives in Arizona, always in Atlanta, always across this country, and nobody bothers him, And the reason, and everybody knows who he is. What up, Mark Daniel? Appreciate you. And so that's just what I do. I show my face. I know that it may have it may have a problem with me in my later career. But I really just don't care if it has a problem with me in my people say you shouldn't say what you say because you could be punished for it later on in your life. But well, I just really don't give a what I say about people has to be said. I'm just going to keep it real. I got a lot of harsh criticisms of people in the community, and what I have to say needs to be said. And how I feel, a lot of people feel the same way. I don't tuck my tail behind my words, hide behind an avatar, or hide behind a lot of you punk ass commenters and shit. You hide behind an avatar and throw racial slurs and hide behind the security of the net and the internet. I say what I say in Poland about Polish people and live here and walk outside. People in this city know me. My professors know me. They know I have a channel. But I say what I want to say because I can. So it is what it is, y'all. Anyways, brothers, I'm gonna go ahead and upload another video on Patreon right now for my audience, the Patreons. I just got a new vlog that is edited. So I've been uploading a lot of my latest vlogs in Uganda onto Patreon. And the reason why I am doing that is because the people on Patreon actually pay to see this content. I can't put it all up online, because there's no use to having the Patreon if you're not going to upload private content there. People on Patreon pay for exclusive content. I support all of my people who support me, whether you do or not. But the people who pledge the monthly commitments, it's something that they do deserve, and I have been needing to do that. So if you're on the Patreon, my newest vlog in Ethiopia, I was there for some time, the airport. We'll be uploading that here soon. So shout outs to everybody who has been supporting me and everything like that. I really appreciate you. Okay, so for those people who support on Patreon, it will be available to all Patreons, no matter how much you pledge. Even if you only pledge, like $1, I'll put that up there in just a few minutes. Like the videos, you guys. Once again, thank you for all people who have been supporting this particular podcast, supporting the negromanosphere.com. I really thank you. Appreciate you for what you have been doing. And as you know, the buffoonery, it remains at an all-time high. I'm out. Like the video. Y'all know how we supposed to do. Peace.